Many of you, when you were a kid, climbed on a tree or the roof of a house? Can raise your hands. That's awesome. The truth is, I never grew up. I never stopped climbing trees or buildings or anything else that would get me excited. The trees turned into towers, and the houses turned into skyscrapers. And for the past several years, I've been taking pictures of everything I've done, as you can see here. Some of the questions I've received have been, aren't you afraid to fall? Or aren't you concerned if a bird hits you on the head, for example? It's a real question. The truth is, I'm not fearless. Neither are any of the other extreme athletes I've ever had the chance of speaking to. It's always been about conquering that fear and coming out of a situation alive with a sense of accomplishment. Not only because of the particular act, but the accomplishment of overcoming a situation psychologically, which, according to Mark Twain, is the definition of courage. Courage is the resistance to fear, the mastery of fear, not the absence of it. So whenever someone asks me, man, aren't you afraid? I tell them, yeah, sometimes. I've just learned to stay calm. Conquering fear is a process. I've had situations where fear overcame me and I froze. That was due to heights. Ever since then, I haven't really stopped with my adventures with heights, but I've never really had that problem again either. It was all about gaining experience. And being calm is key. It allows you to think and act in a very rational way. Whenever I'm taking pictures and taking videos and everything else, I don't really think about a lot. I just focus on the moment. The other aspect of the things that I do is the way it's perceived in society. One of the most, these pictures, of course, have received a lot of controversy. Sorry. A lot of controversy. While I've been able to gain tens of thousands of followers through social media, there's also been a lot of criticism from all over the place. In the past year or so, I've been on TV shows and news stations to talk about the things that I do, along with the risks associated. And while a lot of people don't really approve, it never really bothered me, because in my mind, they just never understood. One of the most common comments that I get is, you must not value your life, or you don't really care if you die, right? And every time I hear this, I laugh. I do these things because I value my life, because I care about having a quality life. Which reminds of a quote from Reinhold Messner. He's actually the first person to climb Mount Everest without any supplemental oxygen, along with various other mountaineering records. And when he was asked a similar question, he said, I didn't go up there to die, I went up there to live. It's important to realize that I want to live a long life. And with everyone else in a similar field, whether they're skydivers, scuba divers, rock climbers, or anything in between, we all want to live a long and purposeful life. And again, I can only speak for myself, but some of these things are what make us feel alive. They allow us to be put into situations and feel emotions that most people haven't. They allow us to break barriers, mental and physical. Now, public opinion on roof-topping, for example, or base jumpers, is that the people that do them are not really thinking straight or don't really care about whatever happens. And then articles like this pop up. Selfies are killing more people than sharks, which is true. And it's scary until you realize that almost no one dies from sharks. About 6 people a year die from sharks. And it clearly ignores the context provided by the Washington Post showing that cows are even more dangerous. They kill over 20 people a year. So the next time you see a cow, run for your life. Of course, this is all ridiculous. It's no wonder, though, that there's this negative perception of some people when they see something that I do or when they see a person on the edge of a building. According to society, everything can kill you, let alone the self-induced dangers of an extreme activity or an extreme sport. Add on to that the reason we're doing it is for social media, and the final judgment is that we risk our lives to get some social validation in the form of likes, comments, and views. Again, I can only speak for myself, but like some of you raised your hands at the beginning, we've done this way before there was even social media. We just never filmed it. So it's only now considered to be sort of an epidemic where people are going out and doing crazy things, taking selfies, posting it on social media. And I would argue this is because we live in a time and place where everyone shares everything they do. We have that opportunity now. So dangers are real, and risks exist, and people do fall victim to dangerous stunts. I'm not saying they don't. But if we as a society, or even as parents, for example, are concerned about all the different negative examples or bad examples around the world, it's a lost cause. There's way too many of them. Rather, we should educate them that these people have experience, or the people that are doing them reasonably have experience in the field and are doing anything possible to minimize that risk. At least that's what I do. So that's what I'll talk about. When you're doing an extreme activity or when you're about to do one or extreme sport, there's many factors to consider. But generally, they fall into two categories: yourself and everything outside of yourself. Firstly, it's important not to overestimate your ability. You have to be physically and mentally fit in order to overcome any situation you might come across. At the beginning, when I started doing these things that are considered to be dangerous or extreme, there were more moments where my legs would shake, where I'd be nervous. I didn't have much confidence. But over the years, with experience and raising the level little by little, those symptoms disappeared. If you want to be a rock climber, for example, you're not going to just go to the highest cliff and start climbing. You go to a gym, you learn new skills, you gain some strength, and you raise your confidence. And secondly, it's crucial that you don't underestimate the situation. Being able to evaluate the circumstances that you're in is important to minimize as much as possible anything bad happening to you. And I have a motto that I tell myself every time I'm about to do something that's considered to be dangerous or extreme, and it's: everything can be done in a dumb or a smart way. Make sure it's always the smart way. But even if you're doing it the smart way and the risk is still too high, just don't do it. It's not worth it. If the risk overshadows any precaution you can take, it's not worth it. I'll end on another cliche quote by Charles Lindbergh, and he says, "I don't believe in taking unnecessary risks, but a life without risk isn't worth living." So, what's my advice? Go out there and take risks. Become skydivers, become scuba divers, become rock climbers, but be smart about it. At the end of the day, you'll feel more fulfilled. Thank you.